Donald Trump has been posting a bunch of these outrageous and kind of meltdowny videos on True Social responding to his arrest and arraignment and the indictment involved. And we're walking through them. We have a couple more to look at, starting with this one.
Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt and incompetent president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy. We're not going to let that happen. We will make our country better than ever before. We will make America great again. Thank you.
The projection, Josiah, Biden is the one who's trying to destroy American democracy. For what? For what? When
I have no
Trump,
idea.
The speaker, the author of that statement, is the one who attempted to actually overthrow American democracy and keep himself in the White House, even though he lost.
Yeah, and that was after attempting to litigate his way into a second term with 60 court cases across the country, which were laughed out of court. I mean, this man tried everything in the book, election denialism, preemptive election denialism, even before the first ballot was cast, that the whole thing was going to be rigged. He suppressed voter turnout among his own base by discouraging the use of mail-in and absentee ballots, which could have worked for Republicans as well. They could have availed themselves of those opportunities. And he, sunk his own battleship, so to speak, tried to litigate his way into a second term, then tried to coup his way into a second term. The only thing I'll say, there is actually one piece of positivity, I think, to come from that, Luke, and you may not have caught it with all that negativity. Okay. He is actually referring to Joe Biden as the president of the United States. I like progress. That's Boom. Progress, baby. We are finally seeing a recognition that Joseph Robinette Biden is the actual sitting president of the United States. It's so sad that is a colossal gain from, like, a colossal concession from the MAGA contingent, but I'll take it.
Sometimes these sort of projections seem to be almost taunting the other side with how much it applies to themselves. Tucker Carlson has done this a lot, especially on Fox News. I'm sure he's doing it now, but I don't watch his Twitter show ever. But he would constantly say things like, what would you do if you were trying to lie to mass amounts of people? You would, and then he would just go on to describe everything he does, but he's supposed to be saying it about other news networks. Yeah, with a look on his face like that. And it almost seemed to be so blatantly describing himself that it was trolling us. And Trump does that sometimes too. Biden is the corrupt, anti-democratic president, according to Trump. Come on. Somewhere in there, that you're describing yourself, Donald. We'll move on to this clip.
I hope the entire country is watching what the radical left lunatics are doing to America and all we stand for. Everything we stand for, they're trying to destroy. We are a nation in serious decline, and it will only get worse. These people truly hate our country. I believe that. I would have never said it. I believe it.
It's interesting. Anytime, we've talked about this before, I'm sure, but anytime members of the left will bring forward criticisms of the country, broken systems, talk about things they feel are wrong, the accusation from the right will be, you hate America. And are there people who have some vitriolic hate for the country? Sure. But so many of us criticize the country because of our love for our home, our country, and want to make it better. And that's why we criticize it. Just like how you would want the best for a family member you love and want to make them better. Same thing with the country that you love and your country. And that never is acceptable for so many of the people who will accuse all members of the left of being America haters. And then Trump will spend minutes, hours in speeches just talking about how horrible everything is. A nation in serious decline. He calls it a third world country. And the right doesn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, so we have talked about, I think, the broader topic, which is the asymmetry of expectation and expected rhetoric from the left versus the right. So to your point, if anybody on the left, be it the moderate left, the progressive left, offers even constructive criticism, because there's a nobility and a utility in constructive criticism. But even the most tepid criticism from the left about the United States, about our past, about what we should be doing. Yes, we're tarred and feathered as people who aren't patriots, people who hate this country. And so much is made of it on, conservative media, social media, things like that. Meanwhile, you had the leading Republican frontrunner, a former president, a man who may again yet be the future president, and he routinely, this is nothing new. This is not an outlier. He routinely, and so even you take the MAGA, Make America Great Again. Implicit to that slogan is the idea that America is no longer great. Imagine if a left-winger, if a Democrat said anything even remotely close once to that. And it goes even beyond that. Somebody pointed this out on Twitter, because it's not just Trump. It's Trump and major leading Republicans. Think of how often they insult blue states or blue cities. They'll say something like the equivalent of like a Democrat-run hellscape or something like that,
Totally.
Another colorful language. Imagine a Democrat ever pointing out something that we have pointed out because it's factually true. If you look at the 10 states that are most impoverished, least healthy, least educated, most reliant on federal subsidies, the fact is, and it's not an indictment of the citizens, but the fact is that they are overwhelmingly Republican-run red states. Imagine if Joe Biden ever said that fact, how it would be received by not just right-wing media,
Right.
but I would argue CNN and in the mainstream media as well. Wow, I can't believe President Biden's divisive rhetoric, how he talks about red
he
states.
hates people in red states. Totally. And I know we have a whole separate segment either on today's show or the bonus show about who was it? Some Republican calling. Oh, James Comer. He was calling. Remind me which exact group of people?
MSNBC viewers.
MSNBC viewers. He said they're low IQ viewers. Imagine a Democratic politician saying the same about Fox
News viewers. Yeah.
That would cause, like you said, yes, on right-wing media, but you would have people on CNN, MSNBC saying, ooh, that's so divisive. I would not like Biden saying that, or any Democrat. And it's totally acceptable on the other side. And even liberal media, including myself, doesn't think too much about it, even though we're going to talk about it now. But I don't think too much about it because it's so common, pretty wild. I said a couple more videos, but we have just one more bit to look at.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They are not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never, ever be moving out of their way. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again. Thank you very much.
That talking point I'm so sick of, and I hear it constantly. See, they're not coming after Trump. So many people told me this in Miami, Trump supporters. They're not coming after Trump. They're coming after us. He's just in the way. How? Did you take classified documents, keep them for months after being requested time and time again, and conspire with others to keep them out of the hands of the federal government, and then lie to the federal government and obstruct their investigation? Did you do that, or was that Trump? Then this has nothing to do with him bravely standing in the way. Great branding tactic. Now anything bad Trump does, accountability is just him bravely defending his followers from being attacked. It's so absurd. What's more likely, I say to Trump supporters, all of the federal government, DOJ, Biden, all of this, they're conspiring to take down Trump. So many parts and pieces going into that. Or one guy just really doesn't want to be held accountable and is saying, yeah, we'll say whatever he'd like, whatever he can to convince people that he shouldn't be held accountable. One guy doing what's in his self-interest, or a conspiracy the likes of which we haven't seen in ever.
Yeah, so unfortunately the problem with conspiracy theorists and MAGA cultists is they don't deal in probability. They don't deal in reasonableness. It's completely mutually exclusive to their worldview. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, Occam's razor, right? The simplest explanation is almost always the best one, right? So the simplest explanation in this situation is that a well-known malignant narcissist who is legendarily incompetent and corrupt behaved in a malignantly narcissistic and legendarily corrupt way, right? But instead, they have to gerrymander reality to comport with their vision, because again, and it is, and I know that you've mentioned this, I know David Pakman's mentioned this, I've mentioned this on my own channel, the modern Republican Party, particularly that MAGA Freedom Caucus animating core, is for all intents and purposes, and this is not a pejorative, it is simply a statement of fact, it is a cult. It is a multi-million strong cult. And I think the reason that so many of us struggle with that, even I do from time to time, because we watch fiction surrounding cults are something that fascinate the American people. We watch TV shows about them. We read books about them. There's history littered with them. And the idea that Donald Trump, the guy who hosted The Apprentice, would be not only the sitting president, but leading the biggest and arguably most dangerous cult in the history of this country is legitimately
You're
just
fired guy. Yeah.
Yeah. You're fired, guys. Yes, and he's the high prophet of this MAGA cult. But yeah, no, it's completely improbable what they're alleging.
And setting aside if you can get your head around that type of operation going on to take down Trump, there's no evidence. So even if it were probable, you would still have to have evidence, and that's not present. You know what there is evidence for, though? The crimes he's being accused of.
No, Luke, what that is, listen, there's no evidence of a conspiracy because, and that's how you know there is a conspiracy. The absence of a shape proves that the shape, yes, you see what I'm saying?
No.
Like, we're seeing a void there, man. It's proof of a conspiracy.
I talked to a guy, and we probably talked, it was just a 14-minute debate or something outside of the Miami courthouse. And one of the things he kept coming back to was every time I would say, but why don't you have evidence of the things you're talking about, the election being stolen or Trump being taken down? He would say, that's my point. Operations like this, criminal enterprises, are really good at covering up the evidence. What? And I was trying to explain, if we operated our society around that concept, then every accusation backed up by no evidence would be proof that the accusation was true. That makes no sense. I was trying to say to him, then I could say you're a murderer and you covered up all the evidence, and I would be, you're saying, credibly accusing you. What are you talking about? Makes no sense. Thank you so much for watching. For the outro on this video, I want to plug Josiah's channel. Hit them with it, Josiah.
Hey, everybody. I appreciate you watching. You can find me at youtube.com/@ponderingpolitics. One word, pondering politics. If you like progressive commentary that focuses on coalition building with other elements of the left and calling the Republican Party out for what it's become, I hope you'll view my channel. Give me a like and subscribe and some feedback. Again, youtube.com/@ponderingpolitics. Thanks again.